Hey, what's up, y'all? Classic Kev back with another episode. Y'all, honestly, it's probably the most important episode yet because on today's episode, guys, I got a really awesome guest, a good friend of mine, Crypto Wendy O. Wendy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, this is awesome, Wendy. Guys, for those of you who don't know, Wendy actually had me on her show. It was really, really awesome. It was an awesome episode. Now, Wendy,
Yeah.
for those of who don't know you, you're one of the top
I'm just
crypto
a mom.
influencers. You're just a mom.
I'm just a mama.
So modest, so modest. So one thing I noticed is that YouTube plaque back there. What's that for? What's that?
So I got 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is really, really amazing. It was really cool I remember that day exactly. It was a really cool day, and it was just really cool. It was very humbling, and it was very nice to just know that I am important and I matter.
Yeah, that's an incredible accomplishment, guys. Coming from myself, YouTube in the same crypto sphere as you, to have 100,000 subscribers is absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you.
What would you say? Like, what is your secret? What is Wendy O's secret to
There's no
success?
secret. It's having a mental illness and being manic and just making content and not stopping and not giving an absolute F what other people think of you. No, I do have I've got ADHD and depression and like all that kind of stuff from like real trauma that happened in life. But I'm just the type of person that just keeps going no matter what. And there's nothing to it but to do it.
Oh, I definitely see it. Like I've told you before on Twitter, I definitely admire your work ethic. Being in the same space as you. Like I watch your content, I look up to you. But also too, we are in some crazy times. In being in the
Mhm.
crypto as a crypto influencer, like, does it start to stress you out, these turbulent markets?
It's life. It's going to happen whether I'm in crypto or whether I'm not in crypto. So it doesn't matter. At least I like one of the things that I'm most excited about is that I do actually have a platform. I can force people, not force, because I don't, sorry, shouldn't have said that, but I can push people to use critical thinking and I can push them to hear what I say, but listen to themselves
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, I can say whatever. You can say whatever. Like people's parents, like people they look up to can say whatever. But at the end of the day, nobody's paying your bills, and nobody has to live with themselves, or you don't have to live with those people. Like you live with yourself. So it's up to you to make decisions. So regardless, like the world's going to keep going. Time stops for no man, no woman. So it doesn't matter. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, that's a good outlook, Wendy. It's real inspirational what you're able to do because your background, it's not a traditional finance or tech
No, I don't
background.
have I don't have a journalist degree. I don't have a public speaking degree. I didn't do this. I literally have no training whatsoever. There's so many people in crypto that have that like people that make YouTube content, they were journalists or they're actors or whatever. They have teams behind them that script their stuff. I do everything myself. Yes, I do have somebody that sends me the breaking news for the day to help prep for the show, but that's just for time management and that's being a smart entrepreneur. But everything you guys hear is me. Like I literally come from the streets. I come from like being super, super poor, and I've created this really great platform for myself. So everything you see is all self-taught. It's not, I've never had formal training to do any of this stuff. I just educate myself. I do the best I can.
No,
And I
that's a
mispronounce stuff all the time because I think it's funny.
No, no, and it's incredible what you're able to do because I'll watch your content and I'll engage with you on Twitter, but a lot of times like you're pretty on the mark, and a lot of times it's a lot of the same thought process I have, and I find myself agreeing with you a lot, and that's one thing I noticed like with crypto and Web3, it seems to bring a lot of like-minded people together, and I'm noticing it's very rare. I agree, whether it's you or even like Hotep, a lot of different people, BitBoy, even sometimes, a lot of people I find myself like just aligning with, with financial, just the way we think, as well as the market. So definitely awesome time. But how do you feel about these markets currently? Like, are you still kind of bearish? Are you bullish?
We're in a bear market. We're in a crypto bear market until proven otherwise. Bitcoin is cyclical and it operates in a 4-year cycle. You can go ahead and look at the mining calculator and see when Bitcoin halvening is supposed to. Excuse me, the mining calculator. So you can see when the halvening is supposed to occur. When that gets closer, we should start to see some more bullish action. However, the way what we're seeing in the current global markets are going to impact obviously price action. So really it's kind of a waiting game. We're in a very unprecedented time. We don't know what's going to happen with the Fed. We don't know what's going to happen with the money supply. We don't know what's happening with monetary policy, global policies. We don't. We're just kind of waiting. Everybody is like fighting with each other all over the world for over very serious issues. So we might not know what is going to happen with Bitcoin. And realistically, it's going to be a very interesting time. And I don't want to be one of those people that are like, rah, rah, Bitcoin is the answer to everything, because it's not. Like, people will sit here, Bitcoin is finite, it's this, that doesn't matter. Like, your narrative, I can tell that stuff is scripted. Like, it doesn't matter when it comes to Bitcoin. Like, it hopefully it will do its intended purpose, but realistically, we're down like $40,000 from all-time high. So it's kind of not good price action wise, but that cycle could break. We don't know yet.
You brought up an interesting point, Wendy. We're at some inflection points, you know, one being the 2024 Bitcoin halving cycle, which also coincides with the presidential elections coming up. And another point I want you to elaborate a little further on, you talked about, you know, the central banks, and I'm looking at an article right here from the Wall Street Journal. The UN calls out the Fed, other central banks to halt interest rate increases. Could you elaborate? What are your thoughts on that?
So basically the UN is saying federal, and also to you guys, one of the things to know, a lot of the headlines, a lot of it's BS, a lot of it's sources of sources of sources, and he said, she said, whatever it is. So a lot of it is complete BS. So don't just read the headline. And a lot of the information in the articles are a bunch of BS. So what I recommend you do, read the headline, read the articles, listen to different people, but search for sources. Search for different sources, look at a blue perspective, look at a red perspective, look at somebody that's down the middle, look at all these different sources, continue to educate yourself, and then make a decision. Yes, the Federal Reserve is absolutely out of control when it comes to printing money, because they think printing money is going to solve the problem, when in reality, I personally think lowering taxes is going to solve the problem. And this even goes for corporations, and people are going to be mad at me for saying this. Guess what? I love capitalism. I love capitalism for the small guys. When it comes to the corporate capitalism, I got a little bit of problems there. But at the same time, we have these big companies. They're the ones that do the hiring. If they are being taxed heavily, how could they hire more people? If the middle class is being taxed heavily, how can they spend money? If the rich people are being taxed heavily, how can they spend their money? How can they create jobs? How can they do these types of things? So I think a lot of the problem is a lot of the tax rates. I think a lot of the problem is these, like Los Angeles County has got a lot of problems. The current people in office aren't doing a really good job. We need to kind of reset that a little bit, because we're going to have a global reset anyways. So there's a lot of problematic behavior happening, but raising interest rates, that's good for the banks. It's not good for us. So there's a lot of problematic behavior happening. And I think allowing people to keep more of their money, or saying, you know what? I would love to see them restructure taxes. And this way, I would love to hear them say, you have to pay, instead of paying 50% of your taxes, because that's really kind of what we pay at this point, you pay 10%. Then you have to pick where you want your money to go to. And they give housing, water, trash, public servants, community centers, healthcare, and you get to pick where you want to put your money. How cool would that be? I know that's not going to solve the problem, but it just was a nice delusional thought I had.
No, I think, again, I think you're pretty on the mark with a lot of that, Wendy. And I guess the way I interpret it is that our government and our Fed doesn't exactly have a revenue problem. It has a spending problem. So like
today, they send a bunch more money overseas, and I get it. But at the same time, when we don't have clean drinking water in some places for Americans, that's an MF problem. That's going to be a problematic thing for me that I'm not happy about. We should not have, like, obviously there's going to be cases of poverty, because sometimes mental illness, there's extenuating circumstances, but our people are not doing okay. America is not a superpower like it used to be. I live in California, live in LA County, born and bred here. Okay. So I've been here. And to all the people, before y'all say this, because everybody says this, well, if you don't like the politics there so much, move. No, I'm not going to move, because guess what? Part of the reason why we're in the state that we're in is because we get these transplants that come here that bring their BS here. The people, I know the people from the streets, they don't want none of these policies. I don't even know how these policies are getting through. So realistically, what needs to happen, don't be coming bringing your BS here. Don't be telling me how to live my life. And the people that are in power, they need to go. There needs to be term limits. That's part of the problematic behavior.
That is. So, it's funny. I actually have asked different guests about that as far as term limits. What are your thoughts on why that, these politicians or certain positions don't have term limits? Is there any specific
networking? So what happens is, and I know this for a fact because my daughter's father is an electrical contractor. If you want to get a bid for a school to build a highway, to do whatever, any type of government contract, there's like 5 different contractors they picked from, 5 of them. Okay. About that, maybe a little more. So basically what happens is he could submit a bid. He's not going to get picked. So even though it's going to cost $1 million to make this bridge, they're going to actually give the contract to somebody else who's going to be charging $5 million instead of giving it to my daughter's father. Because it's about the network. So it turns into a vicious cycle. What ends up happening is these people get put into office. They have friends and family that they allow them to do their work, or they do all these different things. Everybody's making money. So they keep taking that money and putting it up to help fund their campaigns, et cetera. And it just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. And Americans are so scared of change. They're so scared of acting like, are taking responsibility for their own actions. They just let this stuff continue to happen.
Yeah, and I thought something else. And again, guys, I've been in California one time in my life, so I'm not speaking as I'm an expert on California
It's a mess
politics.
here. It's a mess here.
Yeah.
But the people from the streets, we're tired of it. We don't want it. We don't want it. Even in the hood, we don't want it.
Yeah, and I definitely sympathize, because when I went there, I see how beautiful and how much potential California has. And an article I was actually reading was saying that residents from California are moving to Mexico for a lower cost of living and commuting to California. And I'm like, how is this happening in America? Like, that is the craziest thing I've ever saw. Wendy, so another big story I got right here. So this is CNBC. And I know you said don't just look at the headline, but I did read the article. But I want to hear your thoughts. Treasury's financial stability watchdog warns cryptocurrencies could threaten the safety of the U.S. economy. So
what's happening? What's happening with that? Literally all that it is. They do not want. They want. Okay. They're scared of their power being taken away. So that's what they're saying. It has nothing to do with security, because let's face it, if you go log on Twitter, I have like 30 different spam bots underneath my comments. That's more unsecure than crypto is. And that's not crypto, that's scammers. So all they're doing is they're saying this, they're spinning this narrative. If you look at Biden's bill, when it comes to crypto regulation, they talk about inclusivity and all this kind of stupid stuff that makes no sense, because crypto is a very inclusive, because you don't know who's on the other side of the transaction. So you really can't redline or discriminate like the way you would in a traditional banking system, which is why we have these laws and regulations in place to protect people, which in fact, it still does happen, because I work with a community center that just happened. That just happened to them recently. So it's just a bunch of BS. It's a fear. It's a scare tactic. So if you're watching the show, what you need to do is get your butt off of your chair and go outside, talk to your people, talk to your community, go volunteer at a community center and help educate and help push critical thinking.
I agree with you there, Wendy. Sometimes I catch myself looking so much at geopolitical and macroeconomic issues when I'm like, man, I need to be more involved in my local government and my local issues around me. So that's definitely some really good advice. Next topic, Wendy. I actually was listening to your show earlier. You mentioned some of this, but Kim Kardashian pays over $1 million to settle SEC linked to crypto promo on her Instagram. What are your thoughts on this?
If she disclosed that it was a paid ad, she disclosed, do your own research. I don't see what the problem is. So I want to expand on that a little bit, because people are going to take that out of context. The problematic thing with it is they use a big name like Kim Kardashian to gain traction. Why didn't the SEC find Ethereum Max?
I don't know. I do not know.
Why does the SEC, knowing these cryptocurrencies exist, and then after the fact they launch, then calling them securities? That's why is the SEC not allowing cryptocurrency companies to register properly and to give them some sort of safe harbor to prove that they're a utility? If they don't do X, Y, and Z that they promised to do within a 3-year period, which Hester Pierce integrated, or she tried to introduce a bill for that, they smacked it down. Why can't the companies get pinged then? And then you can go after the promoters or whatever. The language in that video, the language in the ruling is problematic. And people what they don't understand is, yes, from the documents, they did pay her to talk about a project. I don't care what people do. I feel confident in myself that I'm going to invest in whatever I want to invest in. If I lose money, I take responsibility for it. Part of the problematic thing about that, though, when you talk about being a promoter, if the SEC is randomly ruling that these different cryptocurrencies are securities after the fact, what if you're mining or earning passive income or doing something and you earn tokens? That's essentially being paid in a way because you're receiving compensation. You tweet about this cryptocurrency project and the SEC says, well, you didn't disclose that you were being paid or that you earned $1,000 in yield. So this opens the door for them to attack the average retail person. And people are not understanding that. And the SEC is basically saying, you do something bad, you're not going to know you did something bad. You're not going to know you broke the law until after the fact. And that's just like basically telling somebody, we're going to make cheese illegal. Or like a certain type of cheese is illegal. So if you go buy this cheese, then you're going to get in trouble after the fact. We'll tell you when we're going to make it illegal. They're not think of it this way. I have a 6-year-old daughter. There's rules in the house. She knows if she doesn't clean her placemat up, she's going to get punished. She knows if she doesn't plug her tablet back in, she's going to get punished. She knows if she doesn't pick her clothes up off of the floor, she's going to get punished. There's rules. She knows if she does X, Y is going to happen. If we're raising our children this way, but the United States government is not governing us the same way, it makes no sense. You can't punish somebody after the fact for doing something. So I'm not saying Kim Kardashian shouldn't have been paid the penalty. I'm saying is the procedure and how it happened should have been done differently. So people understand what's happening. Why is this a security? Why aren't the people from Ethereum Max getting in trouble? Why is the focus on Kim Kardashian? What happens if y'all tweet about something and it ends up being a security? You're going to get in trouble. You could get in trouble for that. Like
that's a great point. And, I see what you're saying, because I believe even Coinbase and BlockFi, these type of companies, they reached out to the SEC like, hey, give us the clarity, give us the framework. And they were like, oh no, we can't tell you what you're doing wrong. We just have to wait for you to do something. And then we're going to come after you. So it is.
Could you imagine getting smacked growing up as a kid because you did something after the fact?
Yeah,
what kind of parenting is that? That's like the worst parenting. And I'm not advocating. I'm just giving it. I got smacked when I was growing up. My daughter does not. She just has to go sit on her bed and count to 60.
Oh yeah. No, clear guidelines, clear punishments. And of course the punishment should always fit the crime. Right. So, let's go to the next story, Wendy, while I got you. And I really don't know what your take's going to be on this one, but I got a feeling that we might disagree on this one. But check out this article. Crypto researcher reveals the dangers of Solana as the network outage persists. So I believe the memes are Solana's operating hours are like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Yeah. So what are your thoughts?
I personally don't care. Solana is a very centralized currency to me. Cryptocurrency, just because a cryptocurrency is centralized doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Solana does have a pretty interesting ecosystem. I like the NFTs there. I do like the low fees. I don't like that we can't have gas wars with like Ethereum. You have the gas wars and you increase the gas and you're able to, do whatever it is, get the transaction to go through. I do think that Solana's marketing proposition is very interesting. The fact that they have a store that's kind of similar to the Apple store where you can go in, it gives people a real sense like, hey, if I have a tech problem, I can kind of go in to talk to somebody. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. When it comes to cryptocurrencies, I don't care. Like I have a moon bag of Solana. I'm going to probably buy more Solana when we do capitulate to $10,000 or around that area with Bitcoin, because I think everything else is going to dump. I'm here to make money. I'm here to trade and invest to make money. I don't care.
It's wild. It's wild that you said that, because that's like literally my thoughts exactly on Solana. That like, when I tell people I invest in Solana, they get very, argumentative of like, look, I'm not a programmer. I just see where the big money and the smart money is going. To Wall Street money. It's clearly going into that project. There's clearly an ecosystem being built. And, to me, I look at it like it's software. It's in beta. They'll figure out the problems and I'll be cashed out by the time they figure this all out. But next story, Wendy, and this one's a doozy. So I love to hear your thoughts on this one. So Russia to allow international trade in Bitcoin in Bitcoin crypto for any industry reporting. This is straight from the Russia's Ministry of Finance. So I guess in response to the West's sanctions against Russia, that they're going to use crypto a way to bypass that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't side with Russia. It's not that I'm a Russian supporter. It's not that I'm a Ukraine supporter. I am a people supporter. There
Mhm.
are good people all over the world. And just because they happen to live in an area that's maybe is surrounded by bad people, whatever it is, they deserve the right to have access to their money. If you want, and people might not like this, but I don't care. If you want to really, if you really care about Bitcoin's ethos and you really support it, you're going to operate in a true decentralized economy. Part of operating in a true decentralized economy meaning that there's a lot of bad people out there that might be utilizing Bitcoin, but guess what? You don't get to take their money away. You don't get to stop them from transacting, because guess what? They might think that you're a bad person too. I'm not going to sit here and say who's right and wrong. I'm just purely talking about operating in a true decentralized economy and how that should look like. And I don't get to tell you what to do. You don't get to tell me what to do. You can voice your opinion, but you can't stop me, and you can't stop Bitcoin. If you want to have true freedom, true liberty, it is what it is. It comes with a cost.
Yeah, Wendy, I think you're right. So, and that's something I think a lot of people don't understand, that, that we can have money that's apolitical or is completely detached from any political narrative, from any military, any government intervention. And that's kind of different for people. And I agree with you. The sanctions the West levy on Russia, well, Russia has innocent civilians that are being hurt by these sanctions. The citizens of Ukraine, they're tired of this war, and we want to stop. My stance is I'm anti-war at all costs. And the inflation that we're seeing worldwide, you were seeing the currency debasements, and I think that we're going to see more of this international trade through these assets. And with the advent of CBDCs, Wendy, I don't know where this is going to go in the next 2 to 3 years. It's definitely going to be a wild ride, but I'm glad we got you though, Wendy. Glad we got you.
Thank you. You too.
But Wendy, before I let you go, before I let you know, can you let my audience know where can they find you? Where's Wendy O located?
Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. If you want to make sure you have my official social links, it is cryptowendyO.com. I will never DM you. So if you happen to get a DM from me, it's probably not me. Thank you so much, Kev, for having me on. This was super fun. I like having these types of conversations.
Yeah, Wendy, this was awesome. Straight to the point. Y'all, again, leave Wendy some thank yous in a comment. Be sure to give her a follow. She is an awesome watch. I love her live streams. Anyway, y'all, I'm Classic Kev. Thank you so much for watching. Wendy, we're out, y'all. Peace.